Welcome to the Plan B CRNA podcast. I'm your host, Bobby Jones, and I'm so excited that you're here. The Plan B CRNA podcast is the only show made specifically for nurse anesthetists who are exploring options outside of their traditional career paths. This is the place to expand your mind and your goals as we uncover new ways to produce side income together. The mindset that we bring to any situation plays a key part in overcoming challenges and really enjoying our unique paths in life. On Thoughtful Thursdays, I like to explore emotional topics that are relevant to CRNAs and other providers. I think of this as my therapy, and I hope you learn some tips and tricks that you can use along your own journey. This episode is brought to you by On-Call Capital. On-Call Capital is dedicated to educating CRNAs and other healthcare providers about investing outside of the traditional stock market. On-Call Capital also provides opportunities for you, yes, you, to create passive income and generational wealth while also lowering your taxable income through investments in the apartment and alternative investment spaces. If you haven't hit subscribe yet, make sure you do that right now so that you don't miss an episode. Thanks so much for joining me today, and now on with the show. Welcome to Thoughtful Thursdays on the Plan B CRNA podcast. I'm your host, Bobby Jones. My younger brother, Wally, is turning 34 today, so happy birthday, buddy. And in honor of him, I'd like to start this show off with a quote that might get us both thinking. Vera Nazarian once said, "It's a commonly expressed and rather nice romantic notion that we are all sisters and brothers. But let's be real. Fact is, we might be better served to accept that we are all siblings. Siblings fight, pull each other's hair, steal stuff, and accuse each other indiscriminately. But siblings also know the undeniable fact that they are the same blood, share the same origins, and are family, even when they hate each other. And that tends to put all things in perspective." Now, I am writing this all up with no idea where it's really going to go. So please don't fault me if some of this ends up not making much sense. The way that I process emotions is by speaking out loud. It drives my wife nuts because my thoughts can swing pretty wildly from one end to another as a result of that. I hope that what I have written makes some sense to you, or that it at least gets you thinking as well. I'm really not trying to solve any problems here. I'm just trying to process parts of my own relationships that I don't always have the luxury of thinking about. With that being said, my brother and I were born 7.5 years apart, so we didn't really grow up on the same level. I took my role as an older brother very seriously, trying to best guide him and help him avoid pitfalls. Mainly this meant trying to keep him from doing things to get in trouble with our parents. But we were wholly different kids. I gravitated to our dad and he gravitated to our mom. I was very studious, making straight A's and playing a lot of sports. Wally didn't like school that much and he was a bit all over the place. Being the youngest meant that he was used to getting attention, so he was more of a comedian than I was. I loved hitting a baseball, but grounders gave me fits. He was the opposite. He'd much rather be in the field, but he couldn't hit to save his life. Our dad always joked that if we combined our baseball talents, we'd be a darn good ball player. We both enjoyed video games, so we often spent time together this way. We've had very different adult lives so far as well. I went straight to college at the University of Florida after high school, and then I went to school some more. And then I worked a few years and then went back to school for anesthesia. And then I worked and was a bit burned out before I hit 40. Wally graduated high school and went into the Navy for 8 years. Once he was done with that, he was more mature and decided to pursue college. And he'll graduate with his master's in social work from the University of Georgia in May, at which point he'll begin his own career just in his mid-30s. Yeah, I'm a diehard Gator, and he's a diehard Bulldog, which is just one more thing to add to the rivalry, but I couldn't be more proud of him. We haven't always seen eye to eye, and we've had our fights, as all siblings do. But the quote really is true. Wally's always been the first to come to my defense, despite our differences. We didn't have the same childhood, but we shared enough of it to create that bond that lets you know what the other one is thinking at just a glance. It's a pretty cool thing, really. In the last year, we've gotten closer as we've opened up to each other about our own vulnerabilities and emotions. He's always been more outwardly emotional than I've been, and he's taught me a lot about bravery in the face of those who would change you. We talk every week on various topics such as marriage, crypto, raising kids, getting through school, and the like. So what is the difference between what we have and a brotherhood or sisterhood? Well, first off, there are plenty of brother and sisterhoods that are rooted in shared experiences, from the military, police, firemen, and women to our own nursing professions. There are plenty of others that center around physical activity and hobbies, from CrossFit and gym rats to running clubs, from musicians to artists. And sure, my brother and I have a lot of that since we do have some similar interests and experiences. But I look at this relationship and it just runs deeper to me than that. Now, I can only speculate. I mean, for us, I think it comes down to that feeling of true belonging. I don't feel the need to buy into some false sense of machismo to be accepted, as I have in the past with trying to be an athlete. I haven't worried about being talented or experienced enough to be worthy of acceptance like I did with my nursing career. I can just be exactly who I am, no matter the moment. We know that we're different from one another, but there's a certain amount of grace and tough love for each other that goes into making it a stronger, more durable relationship than most of the others I've had in my life. I don't know if that's common or uncommon, and I don't really care. I'm just grateful enough that it's my own reality. And some of us will have these types of relationships with our siblings, and some will have it through close friendships. It doesn't matter as long as you are feeding your soul in those relationships. Now, to my brother, who I'm pretty sure is listening, I hope this episode does our relationship justice. And if it doesn't, well, then I'll just ask for forgiveness the next time we're on the phone. You've heard me blabber on about enough things in the past to know that I kind of suck at this emotional thing anyway. Just know that you've made me a better man than I would have been otherwise. I love you, buddy. And to the rest of you listening, I hope that you can find something here that resonates with your own experiences. We are all family. If you haven't spoken with your siblings in a while, give them a call and catch up. If you're a single child, then maybe you can embrace your family and friends in a different, more authentic way than you have in the past. You deserve it. Now, that's going to do it for this episode. If you enjoyed what you heard, make sure you hit subscribe and leave a review for me. I'd love to hear what you thought of the show today. Until next time, be safe and take care of each other out there. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of the Plan B CRNA podcast. If you haven't already subscribed and reviewed the show, I'd be honored if you took the extra time. It really helps to expand our reach and get the word out about the show. If you're a CRNA who is interested in sharing your story on our podcast, I'd love to have you. Please email me at bobby@oncallinvestments.com for more information. This episode was brought to you by On-Call Capital. They are dedicated to helping providers like you develop passive income and generational wealth through investments in the apartment and alternative investment spaces. Feel free to check out their website at www.oncallinvestments.com and subscribe to their free educational email series. You can find On-Call Capital on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can also check out our YouTube page, where you'll find all of the show episodes along with other educational videos. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode.